So essentially, this is the agent dashboard. So this would be the first thing that you see when coming onto Nomisma. Now, already built into the Nomisma platform, there is a focus on the practice management element side of things. So we are completely interconnected with HMRC, Companies House, and various pension providers. So even this sort of deadline box on the right here, it is all real-time information from those respective parties. So anything sort of once something's submitted, what it would do is populate the deadlines. You can also set system generated deadlines for yourself, and with the allocation of sort of work to different members of staff, you can set internal work status notes on each of your clients as well. So I will go through the process of showing you the interconnection with those respective parties as a little admin task, and then it will make sense as I start going through the sort of demo and how all of the modules are interconnected as well. So just to sort of briefly touch upon that as well, it is all cloud-based. The modules are fully interconnected with one another. So let's say, for example, we'll go for the example of a director limited company. If you were doing the bookkeeping and payroll for that director limited company, essentially you would do the bookkeeping. In turn, that would populate the final account. It would also pull through the data over from the bookkeeping to populate the self-assessment for the director. And any payroll that's run as well will post the wages journals over into final accounts and also be able to be directly submitted to the respective pension provider. So that's an example of sort of how all of the modules are interconnected. However, that's not to say that you can't use them independently. So if you just had payroll clients, then you would just use the payroll module for those clients and pay accordingly. So already got some questions going here. I'm just going to sort of figure out how to actually see it. 2 seconds. Okay, for some reason it's not letting me see that question. So if any questions that do come in throughout, if you can pop it in the chat box rather than the Q&A box, I'll be able to see it sort of in more real time there. But let's get into it. So agent dashboard, here you can also see an overview of your sort of the whole practice. So you've got the deadlines, you've got all of your clients, you can go into each of these modules and it will give you sort of dashboards of everything that's going on. I won't spend too much time over on the agent side, just so I'll show you more from an individual client basis, how you would actually do the work per se. But a few admin bits beforehand. So to actually add clients into Nomisma, there are about 9 family members working from home as well, so my internet's a bit slow, sorry. But if I head over to this plus button in the right-hand side and go onto new clients, you'll see a list of all of the types of clients that you can have over in Nomisma, along with the respective accounts. So limited company, we were adding a limited company. The interconnection with Companies House is there. We can search them directly from Companies House directory, pull that business of yours through, and it will also bring through all of the details held on Companies House for that client. By doing it this way as well, it will actually pull through all of the most recent deadlines. So super easy to get sort of people on. Alternatively, you can add any clients manually, and also the CSV batch upload is available within almost every page of Nomisma. So whatever you needed to get into Nomisma, you can. Whatever you need to get out of Nomisma, you can as well. So adding over to sole traders, partnerships, LLPs, PLCs, and also any sort of individual self-assessment clients. Same process, add those in CSV, or do it manually, pop in the UTR, and it will create a link with HMRC respectively. So as well as that's how you get all your clients in. Users, so we've got the accountant user function. So essentially you can have as many members of staff as you need on here, members of staff or colleagues. And that way, later on, what you can start doing, you can give them the access here, what access you want them to have. And also later on, you can start allocating different clients to each member of staff, which will in turn also show you a sort of breakdown of all of the deadlines that member of staff or colleague is managing. For users as well, business users. So any of those business users that want to do bookkeeping themselves, payroll or sort of view any reports in real time. You can give all of your business users a login to Nomisma. And we have a bookkeeping app, which has the receipt capture built into it. We also have a payroll app. So any employees of your clients that you do payroll for, they'll actually all be able to have their own login to the Nomisma payroll app, where they will be able to view payslips. They can request any holiday leave. They can submit expense reimbursements. They can see how much holiday they have left. And your client, the employer, can manage all of that at their end if you wanted them to. And with the accountant and business user type functionality, maybe if towards the end, I can go through pricing as well, but we don't restrict you with that kind of thing. So there's no sort of internal upgrade fees. We've just got the one price per client, and everything else comes with it. So bank fees, user licenses, that kind of thing. It's all just apportioned in that price. But that is the initial setup. Now I will go straight into the self-assessment module. So once all your clients are in, or you add them as you go, what I'll do is go over to the self-assessment tab here and head into my client list. So from here, you will see a list of all of your self-assessment clients. You can use all these filters, especially if you've got hundreds of them, to sort of filter it down. But for now, this is where your self-assessment clients would sit. You can see the submission status here. So this is directly from HMRC. So any notes that come from HMRC as a result of you submitting will just be all populated there. So you can see why it's failed. You can see that it's passed or been submitted. And then you've also got this internal work status capability as well. So, it's got the practice management already sort of intertwined. You, members of staff, colleagues can all set your own internal work statuses, and you'll be able to see the breakdown as well from the practice dashboard. Now, going into a self-assessment specifically, so on the individual client basis, this is what it would look like. So each self-assessment client will have their own dashboard. You can see this tax return status has been approved. This is directly, again, from HMRC. So you can click into that. Oh, sorry, no, this isn't a live account. Normally, this part here would be the all the messaging from HMRC. So you can click into that and see all of the notes that have come from them. This key figures box, so as a result of any data entry you do, just a little KPI indicator there, along with any internal notes and work status notes. So the account manager of this individual self-assessment, you can store everything in the Nomisma, and it goes periodically as well. So you'll be able to go backdate and see everything, all of the internal notes, work status notes, as they were left, essentially. Now, again, this is practice management element stuff already there. And so this is where you would actually come to begin populating the self-assessment form for your client. So I won't go into every single one of these tabs, probably because you just already know what's in them off by heart. If I go into income from property, just to give you an example, this is essentially a direct match from the HMRC portal. It would just be a case of you sort of familiarizing yourself with how it's done in the Nomisma, but I mean, even to the numbers and the boxes, everything matches. So it's just a case of you sort of going into the correct part, editing what's necessary, populating the fields, and in turn, it will create the self-assessment form ready for submission. Now, where, again, I touched upon this sort of in the beginning, so all those new starters, new joiners that have recently joined, essentially, let's say, for example, Apu was a sole trader that you did bookkeeping for. What you can actually go ahead and do is, as a result of doing the bookkeeping for the sole trader, Apu, the company, it would just pull the information through from bookkeeping and populate the self-assessment respective fields for Apu. So if I go into self-assessment, if this was linked to the sole trader bookkeeping profile, all of these details would just be pulled through automatically. The same for, let's say, if it was a director limited company, those dividends would come through as well under dividend income. So really what it's doing here is just ending that data duplication. You don't have to export, import stuff, cross-reference data, especially if you were doing the bookkeeping, because it would just all come through. If you wasn't doing the bookkeeping, of course, just a case of your normal data entry in here, and so on. But is there anything anyone would like to see specifically or know for self-assessment here? So we do support foreign income, also foreign properties, that's all there. But aside from the actual data entry part in self-assessment, if I head over to the Documents tab on the left-hand side, essentially as a result of the data entry, what would happen here is all of the forms would just be automatically created as PDFs. So I can open some of these, although you probably all know what they look like. They're just producing up there. So all your documents would just be auto-populated here. And what you then have the functionality of doing in Nomisma is, as and when you are ready to email those out for approval, you can just go ahead, select the email function. This would all come from your agent email, your business email, whatever you set up initially. You can select the template that you've created. You can sort of create all of your own email templates. And we use a tagging system. So I'll show you that a bit later on, but essentially what it would do is just pull through the relevant data where you need it in this email from that individual client. And then you can just attach those forms as PDFs and go ahead and send it directly to your client from Nomisma for approval. You've got this internal document storage as well. So anything necessary to that period, you can just store it here, lock the period, move on to the next. And you've also, which I'll touch upon when I come out of self-assessment, is you've got the ability to send any tax questionnaires to your clients directly from Nomisma. So similar to that email function I've just done, what you can do is send the tax questionnaire out. Your clients can answer the tax questionnaire from their inbox. And then what it would do is post all of the answers into this area here, ready for you to just go ahead and begin populating the self-assessment form. Now, this then ties into sort of all of the practice management element with the status settings: questionnaire approved, questionnaire received, questionnaire sent. So you've got that. And I think I can mention this, but we've actually started marketing for it. We are in the process of releasing a self-assessment app as well. So what this self-assessment app essentially will do is sort of act as a communication tool between you and your self-assessment client. Now, this is revolutionary because you can sort of manage all those tax questionnaires that you need to send directly to the portal, the self-assessment portal. They can answer it there and then on their phone. You can produce the accounts for them. You can ping it over to the app, ready for approval. They can sign it with their finger in the app, and it's all done, ready for submission. So that is coming soon. But here's some examples of probably, obviously, everyone's done these before. It just, what it does is just pulls all the data through. Same for the 302 here, if there was any data in here. But once that's all good to go, you've emailed it to your clients for approval. They said yes. You can then just go ahead to the review and file function and submit that directly to HMRC from here. So you can validate the submission, all the notes will come back, and then you can go ahead and just submit that to HMRC as well, which will in turn populate the system generated deadlines from HMRC and also populate the main deadlines as well. But yes, I think briefly then, that is self-assessment. So I'll just pause here for a moment. If there's any questions that anyone would like to know specifically about self-assessment, go ahead. We can work out this questionnaire. For the individual that's just raised their hand, if I allow you to talk, are you comfortable to speak? If you just pop in the chat box. Okay, the hand's gone down. Oh, okay, pressed by mistake. Okay, no worries. Okay, so moving on. Again, as I say, everyone will have my direct email after this. Everyone will have a recording and my mobile number. So any questions, I'm happy to pick up later on or another time if they don't get answered today. But essentially, that is self-assessment. We've got this get data from hmrc function as well, so I forgot to mention that. So you can actually set up a direct sort of access code to be able to press that button. I'll see if I haven't got a live account, so I'm not sure if it'll work. Yeah, no. So essentially, when you press that button, it can pull through any previous data on that individual as well, i.e. PAYE stuff, that kind of thing. But back over here, so ending with the self-assessment on the individual level now. So a few more things to dust up with self-assessment over here is that is the hmrc data setting. So that is where you would go ahead and do those access tokens to be able to access previous information on clients. The schedule email, so you've got the ability to mass mail any clients from here. So when I say mass mailing as well, as a result of any email templates that you've set up, essentially what that would do is make the emails completely bespoke to them based on a tagging system that you've used. So the email templates, similarly in self-assessment, you can go ahead here. You can start creating your own email templates, subject, template name, body, and then what you would do is, let's say, for example, and then begin building your email that way. So any email that you send to your client, it would just pull through the relevant data held from that client and so on. Okay, so I've got a question here. What info do you need to pull through data from hmrc, GovID, and password only? No, so the hmrc data setting thing here. Now, this is essentially what you would do if this was a live account again, is you would read the token from Nomisma. You would then call hmrc to give them, what it is it's almost a security confirmation between Nomisma and hmrc. So it's you as the agent asking to access previous data on that client from Nomisma. And so what you would do is read the token here, give them the token, they would then give you another token, and then it creates the link for you to be able to do that. Now, this was only rolled out by hmrc, I think, a couple of years ago. So you'll find that if you start using this function, it doesn't pick up the information on a lot of, not a lot, sorry, that's the wrong word, doesn't pick up the information on absolutely everyone. And that's just because it's a hmrc end thing. They haven't set everyone up yet, but it works fine. Is that per practice or client? So this is a per practice. So under the agent name here, you would just do it the once, and then going forward, once you press that get data from hmrc function on the individual level, it should just pull it over. I hope that's answered that one. Now, self-assessment dashboard, again here, so you can see the breakdown of accountants or members of staff. You can see the internal status here, so you can see what everyone's working on when and what stage they're at. And this is where you would actually, you've got a little KPI dashboard here of any questionnaires. So you can, we do give you a sort of, now I wonder if it would let me do this. Normally from here, you'll all be pretty familiar with your clients, but what you would do is choose the client you wish to send the TAP questionnaire to, and then Nomisma gives you a sort of a basic TAP questionnaire. They answer it, and it just populates in their portal, ready for you to cross-reference and start plugging in the data. But that is it from self-assessment. I'm not going to spend any more time on that unless anyone has any burning questions. Let's move on. Now, the clients tab from the agent dashboard. So this is where absolutely all of your clients would sit. So we do keep your self-assessment clients separate just because it was they're just separate. I don't actually know what the specific reason is, but yes. So then from the clients tab, essentially what you would have here is all of your business clients as well. So all of those people that you did payroll for, final accounts, bookkeeping, Now, as I say, the modules can work independently of one another. So if you had Barney's just for bookkeeping, then it would just be bookkeeping profile that showed. But if you had him for bookkeeping and final accounts, then it will give you the two access points here, and you can access them accordingly. But I will drill down into Mo. If he's there. Oh, my demo client's gone. Oh, there he is. Yeah, so I will go into the individual client spaces now. So from the business client, this now gives me the dashboard for that business client. So essentially from here, what you would be able to do is all of the bookkeeping, payroll, final account, if you did all of those for them, you would be able to access it all from this one dashboard on the individual client basis. So also any banking and VAT is just all stored within one place, again, periodically as well. So this one doesn't have any other accounting periods, but you can set up your accounting periods as you wish, and they will all be listed here and keep the data held there. But this is sort of something similar to what your client may see as well. So if you gave them access to the bookkeeping, they would be able to, this is something they would see. So if they logged in from the website, they can start doing all their bookkeeping here, depending on what access you've given them, or alternatively, everything from the app. You'll see the pending receipts here. So there are none, but if your client had snapped a receipt, then the receipt would end up in here, essentially ready for your allocation process. So we've got another question here. Can you remove elements if not used to clean up the dashboard? No, so you can't actually change anything in Nomisma per se from a user interface or experience side of things. However, I can say that this business dashboard specifically, we've actually got a new UI coming. So appreciate it won't look like this necessarily. It will be. There's less stuff here, and it's just a bit cleaner. But yes, good. We're listening. So yes, but no, you can't modify it in any way. Okay, so dashboard here, some KPIs here, which will, as I just mentioned, are set to change, so it won't necessarily look like this. It will look a lot nicer. Now, if I go into the sales, so sales dashboard here, it's just a case of seeing all of those invoices. So we use a traffic light system. So anything in red is unpaid, anything in amber partially paid, and anything in green paid. What you or your client, well, what your client can do is set up on-brand invoicing. So if they was doing the bookkeeping themselves, they can have all their company logo, their company invoicing, and you can see if it's got an example here of what an invoice would look like. Yeah, so you'd have the company logo here if they had one, and you can go ahead and chase that invoice to the customer. So you can email the invoice out, chase it, whatever the template says, and have that done. Now, there's the function to, if you've seen from the bank account, let's say that this £120 has been paid, you can go ahead. Oh, sorry. You can go ahead and just receive the payment from there. Choose the bank, any description, 120. Let's go to save. Oh. And what it will do is it's now reconciled that and cleared that balance, and it's reconciled it against the bank. So question here, how do you give client access to this? So that is done back from the agent dashboard. What you would do is go to new user. You would then go ahead and choose a business user. You would pop in your client's email address here, give them the correct access that you want. You would then press save. So you've set them up as a business user within Nomisma. And then what you would do is go to users, and you would then assign that user to the business that they're part of. Yeah. Yeah, and no worries. And perfect. Yeah, so off piece there. But okay, so essentially that sales dashboard. You've got all these options here: invoices, batch entries, view your customer list, all your usual stuff over there for bookkeeping. Expenditure works pretty much the same way. So you can go ahead and make the payment from Nomisma. So if the bank's paid that, you can go ahead and make the payment, save that. Oh, not this again. And what it would do is clear that balance and reconcile it. Moving on to banking. So banking, you can have as many bank accounts as you want on here, credit accounts. You will also have the functionality. We support foreign currencies. So I can't remember the name of the third party that does that, but it will calculate the exchange rate on that given day. So everything's sort of in real-time information. We've got the bank feeds. So we integrate with TrueLayer for bank feeds. So your client can go ahead and set up those bank feeds if they wish, ready for you to then start creating some bank rules or for easy reconciliation to the correct ledger. Now, if I head into unreconciled transactions, I don't think there's too much data in here. I don't think there's any at all, unfortunately. But normally what would happen if this was, say you had your live bank feeds on, all of your transactions would be here. And then you've got the easy, it's a drop down menu where you can just reconcile them to the correct ledger. You can create new rules here. So allocate bank transaction to an account description has a specific text. There's loads of sort of different rules you can pick from in here. And then you can just, once you've set up those rules, you can run the rules and it will do the auto allocation for you. But yes, obviously with the banking, if your client was uncomfortable enabling bank feeds or what have you, then you can just set up the bank account manually, import those CSVs, add any transactions as necessary. All works pretty much the same way, just a bit more of a manual process your end. But yes, that's sort of bookkeeping and banking. Now, VAT returns will be auto populated here. So as a result of the company VAT settings that you would have initially set up and any invoicing, what would happen is your VAT returns would just auto populate here. You can view those VAT returns and then submit them accordingly. Then you can just go ahead and submit those online. That will also populate, again, all of this is sort of populating back in that agent dashboard, populating those deadlines as you go. MTD settings, so it's all MTD ready, all MTD compliant. The accountant tab over here on the left, this is just a place for you to sort of add any manual journal entries. You can come in and import any TBs as necessary and access your reconciliation stuff. Reports, so there are some clients who just give their clients access only to reports. So you'll be able to drill down and your client will be able to see that P&L in real time when they log in. You can go ahead here and also do comparative analysis. However, I don't know if I've got any other financial periods. No, I don't. But normally what would happen is you'd have the breakdown of everything here over a set of periods you wished. You can actually drill down into those numbers further as well to go into the ledger. Right. Okay, I can see again, guys, I'm sorry, there's Q&As coming in, but I can't see them for some reason. So if the questions can go in the chat box, I'll be able to see them and answer accordingly. So here's a sort of list of those reports. There's loads of reports there. But that essentially is bookkeeping, really. So if there's any questions about bookkeeping at all, I'll take those now. And then what to come next is the final accounts and payroll. And I'll sort of show you how it all ties together making it the most time efficient product out there. But yes, I'll just await. Maybe I can see if I can get into these Q&As. No, I'm really sorry to those asking those Q&As. If you can just pop it in the chat box, that'd be great. But yes, okay, moving on. So bookkeeping, smashed it. Oh, yes, okay. Can you show the account format? Yeah, sure. So moving on from bookkeeping then, if I head into final account, now this is, obviously you have to excuse my dummy and demo data in here. It's not the most lovely looking, but essentially as a result of the bookkeeping that you've done for your client, Mo's Tavern, I've now just clicked into final account. And what this will do is give me a brand new dashboard for final accounts for that client. Now, this is perfect if you're doing the bookkeeping for them, and it just creates the new tab over. Also, what you can do is if Mo's Tavern was just a final accounts client, then you wouldn't have to have the bookkeeping profile. You wouldn't see this. You would just see the final account module because that's all you use for Mo's Tavern. From there, what you'll be able to do is create and change any, I should have mentioned this over in bookkeeping as well. We do give you a standard chart of accounts. And from there, what you can, sorry, to the person that just asked that question, are you talking about the chart of accounts or the final accounts? I'll show you, I can show chart of accounts now quickly. If I go into nominal codes, we give you a sort of standard chart of accounts here. But what you can do as the agent is go ahead and create your own accounts. Expense type, call it what you want, choose the correct ledger, save that, and it will give you the nominal code. So you can make the base for each client quite bespoke. But back over to final accounts now. So as a result of all of that bookkeeping that you've done for Mo's Tavern, or the import of a trial balance if you don't do bookkeeping for them, so as a result of the bookkeeping you've done over there, or the import of a trial balance here, what it would do is just produce the account for you. So this is an FRS 105. We do support FRS 102As as well, but for this company specifically, it's a 105. All of these notes you can edit, and then you'll just see it's pulled through all the data from bookkeeping, and it has gone ahead and created those for you. So what you can do from the final accounts module is drill down into each of those statements to see what they're made up of. Now, this is why you've probably noticed that we have the tabbing. So if you did do the bookkeeping for this client, let's say, and you noticed that there was sort of a discrepancy here, something that you was wrong, what you can go ahead and do is just go straight back into the bookkeeping, make the amendment, and then in real time, it will update the final account. So there's sort of no more of that importing, exporting of trial balances. Now, the CT600 stuff, so you can do all of your corporation tax here. It will pull through what it can from bookkeeping. However, it's obviously quite a manual process, corporation tax. So again, it's just the same as the HMRC portal. It's just a case of you coming in here and being able to sort of edit what you need to create that file. So you've got all your losses, deficits, and excess amounts, and your CT computation, which can be downloaded as a PDF and sent on. There's a few questions that's come in, so I'm just going to tackle these. Give me 2 seconds. Okay, so first one, how can you tell which tab is bookkeeping or VAT, etc., as all tabs are the same? They are indeed all of the same. That's actually a very good point. So noted. However, there's no explicit way of sort of seeing really, unless I mean, I've been doing this a while, so I know exactly where I am with bookkeeping and final accounts because the sides look different. But that is a very, very good point. So thank you for that. But for now, it's just a case of you sort of guesstimating, let's say. Well, not guesstimating, you'll be able to see on the side, but you know what I mean. Can you create a chart of accounts and can you copy it to other clients? I probably mumbled that one. So can you create a chart of accounts and can you copy it to other clients? Now, I'm not specifically too sure on that one. However, I think there is a way of importing a chart of accounts. Let me send you some step-by-step instructions on that one. I've gone off the top of my head how to do it, but I'm sure there's a way. And then another question here, in order to get to final accounts, how can I bring data in? TB I have done, but can I import IXBML or whatever it's called? Again, I'm sorry, I can't answer that one directly. Submitted XBML. Let me get back to you on that one as well with some, if we can do it, some step-by-step instructions. I've got all of you guys' emails, so I'll be sure to follow you up straight after this. I'm sorry I can't answer them now. But yeah, so final accounts really, whether you're importing a TB from elsewhere or you're doing the bookkeeping, everything's there. And then similar to the self-assessment function, you've got the email function here. So as and when you are ready to send those accounts out to your client for approval, you can go ahead, select the email template there. Again, choose your template that you've created. So this, in this instance, final accounts draft approval template. It will pull through the relevant data, and then you can go ahead and select the account as PDF, the draft account. And what you can go ahead and do is email that directly to your client. They can come back with their signature that you've outsourced from a third party. Side note here, this is something we're working on, is building e-signatures into this. However, I can't give a time on that or as and when, but for now, what you can do is send out the draft accounts by email directly from here, from your agent or business email address, and then you'll be able to see all of that email history here. And once they've signed those, they're all happy to go. You can go ahead to submit the accounts, and then it's just a case of you submitting them. You've got the documents tab here. So if they've signed those documents in your email, what you can go ahead and do is upload the signed documents here. So they would just refer to that period all the time. So obviously, as you go 10 years down the line, you can go back to 2020 and find those signed documents here for your reference. But then you can go ahead and just submit those off to the company's house. Similarly, for CT600, you can go ahead and submit that to hmrc from here. Again, populating all the deadlines as we go. Okay, so some more questions here. If you do not use the bookkeeping module, can you import a trial balance from CSV? Yeah, absolutely. So for the moment here, I'm in Moe's Tavern, their final accounts portal. Now, if I didn't do bookkeeping for them at all, I could just go to Accountant Tools and go to Trial Balance Entry. And then from here, I can just import my TB. Similarly as well, you can go ahead and add any manual journal entry as well. So that's that. And when you submit the account, does it go to HMRC and Companies House in one go? No. So the submission of Companies House accounts, it's done separately here. And then you just have to ensure that you also submit your CT600. But again, I'm not sure if that's, I'll have to check with the dev team if that's been feature requested, but it's a good point. And it's also a good point for me to mention that at Nomisma, we are very, very open to feature requests. our sort of little slogan is built by accountants for accountants. So a lot of what you actually see in Nomisma is our feature requests and input from our accountants. So happy days, feel free. Blow my email up with some feature requests. Perfect. For the individual that just mentioned about them importing a TB, let me follow up with you on that one after this as well. I can give you a call just to check what's going on there. But yes, so final account, you've got the settings as well. So note template settings. So as I mentioned earlier, you can edit sort of all of the notes. And you can make them active, inactive. You can use the tagging system once again to create those notes as you wish. But yes, settings also, if I go to account settings, so this is where you would then change anything. So let's say you can change your professional body and it will update the accounts accordingly, etc. But that pretty much is the final accounts module. Any questions about final accounts module at all? Again, you've got all this practice management element side of things. As you go through the process, it will start updating all of these different tabs. What formats are available for final accounts other than micro entity? Let's go in and have a little look. I'm not sure off the top of my head. So this is a limited company. So you've got FRS 105s, 102, 1As, and dormant for limited companies. Perfect. Yes, so that is final account. Again, as I say, if I've missed anything or there's anything that anyone likes to know later on, I can help you with that. Perfect. So we've done bookkeeping, final accounts, and self-assessment. Now what I'll go ahead and do is head into payroll. Now you can access that from, again, I'm in Mo's Tavern, I'm in the bookkeeping profile here. So if you did bookkeeping for them, you can access everything from the bookkeeping dashboard. However, if you just did payroll for Mo's Tavern, then from the agent screen, when I search Mo's Tavern, it will only be the payroll account that comes up. And when I click on it, I would be brought to something similar to this. So this is the payroll dashboard. Now, as I mentioned earlier, so maybe I can show you actually. We have a Nomisma payroll app. So what all of the employees of your clients can go ahead and do is they can all have their own login to the Nomisma payroll app. We use it internally. This is exactly what mine looks like. So from here, when the payrolls run each month or however frequently you do it, the employee would actually have their own access to the payroll portal, and they would be able to see payslips. They can see their annual leave and request any annual leave directly to the employer. And they can also submit any expense reimbursements here as well. So that's just sort of another little feature that you guys have access to as part and parcel of the payroll. But yes, other than that, if you didn't want to give your clients access to that, then you can just obviously when you run the payroll, what it will do is you have the option to email the employees the payslips, the employer the payslips via the portal, or don't send them at all. Now, we are directly integrated with Nest, Aviva, Smart, People's Pension, Legal in General. So if the pension is enabled for that specific company and the employees, what you can do is just file those pension contributions directly to those pension providers within Nomisma, so you don't have to go over to them to do it. You can just do it straight from here. Similarly, with any RTIs, you can go ahead and just submit those RTIs directly from here as well. So initially then the edit company function. So it's sort of, this is all the admin stuff behind it all. You can set up multiple pay periods, schedules, that kind of thing. So different employees can have different pay schedules within that company, and you can run them accordingly. So you've got the company details. You can have the company logo here as well. So when it creates the pay slip for those employees, it looks nicer, I guess. Payroll details. So the reference numbers here, payment management, CIS payroll as well, any opening balances, and any pension details. So you can go ahead and set all that up from here, and then some general terms. So you can have the company bank details. So Nomisma will create the back form for you, ready to give back to your client to do the payment. Common contractual terms. So you've got some of the sort of all the rigmarole there that you need for the payroll to be accurate. Payroll dashboard. So also from here, okay, sorry, just to inject, I've got one other question here. So directors accumulative NIC scheme. So this is where I get a little bit out of my depth. I haven't got to that part in my SEMA yet, but let me again, I'll get that over to you. I'll ask one of the accountants this side where that is, and I'll get that over to you as well. However, it does sound familiar, but I don't want to promise anything that's not here. So I'll get back to you on that one. So from the payroll dashboard, what you would have here is all of your employees here. You get the little breakdown of everything that's going on, employers' pension. Okay, perfect, will do. Employers allowance. I've lost my train of thought now. Yes, so you can do all of that here. You get a little synopsis of everything that's going on. I can go ahead and go to process pay, for example. Now, if I was to change the, let's say, the basic pay from this screen, let's just go for it and press save. What this would do is update all of those contributions, the NI, the income tax. So it does it all automatically as and when you populate the payroll stuff. Now, you can go into the employees dashboard specifically. So you'll be able to see all of the pays that have been processed and all of the upcoming pays as well. So this one goes all the way down to March. An example of what a pay slip looks like. Again, this can sort of be on brand with the company's logo and stuff like that, but it's just pretty basic. You can add whatever lines you'd like on the pay slip, etc. And then, so edit employee details. So we would have done this when first initially setting them up, but again, it's just your admin stuff, everything on file here. Pay frequency. So depending on what sort of pay schedules the company allows, will be simultaneous with the options that appear here. So from the individual employee level, you can set up those pay schedules to match. Let's see. Okay, it's not letting me do that, but monthly. Then you've got the pay details here. So again, just sort of your data entry here, making sure everything's correct later on in the calculations. Auto enrollment. So you can set your auto enrollment up, choose the scheme, whichever scheme the company has here, and then any general terms from the individual basis as well. So this will all later cover into the leave management. So if the company is set up with the pension, you do have a separate pension dashboard. So you'll be able to see all of those here. This is actually, so for anyone that sort of might be thinking, oh, he doesn't know what he's going on here, the pension is a brand new look. So it's got a new UI. So I myself, I'm just getting used to where things have all moved to. But yes, so the add scheme, so this is where you would come, you can link any existing schemes. and create any new schemes from Nomisma as well. Tax payments, so you will be able to see all of those tax payments here and do any HMRC adjustments as necessary. Again, all sort of simultaneously calculated as you go. And then you've got the filing management. So from here, this is essentially where you would go ahead and submit your RTIs. So you can undo any payrolls, you can make the amendments and then resubmit them. Let's go ahead and submit some of these. So these were undone. They're currently pending. Select the excuse and go ahead and submit them. And they have been scheduled for submission. Processing. Leave management, so this is just an extra service that can be offered to some of your clients. You can sort of, again, as well, from the app with all the leave management on that side, you can start processing all the holiday stuff or sickness or what have you. So depending on obviously the company settings that you set up earlier on, select that sick leave, it would calculate it for that specific employee. So on, go ahead, press save, and then that's all stored. Now the reports, so similar to all the other sort of dashboards on Nomisma, it will just create all of the payroll reports as well. So your client, the employer, can actually have access to these reports from the app as well. I don't think all of the reports, but the ones that you want them to and that they can send to their employees. So if an employee, let's say, for example, wanted, I'm using a bit of a dodgy account, but essentially all of those reports would generate here as PDFs, and you can email those reports out to the employer as well. Or what could happen here is essentially the employer, if the employee has gone to the employer and asked for the P45, P60, what have you, then the employer would have access to this from the app, and they can just ping it directly across to their employee in the app as well. But all sorts of reports here. We won't go into all of them, but if there's anything that anyone doesn't see that they want or I've missed, then please just let me know. If after you submit the RTI, you fix an error, how does Nomisma handle this? So I think my understanding, and again, not 100% certain on this one. However, I know what you can do is essentially undo the payroll and then create the amendment in Nomisma and resubmit it. And then not necessarily resubmit it, but submit it on the next one, and then it will be picked up their end. If that sounds familiar, that's how it's done. But if it doesn't, then I'm off piste. I'll get back to you on that one as well. But I know you can sort of undo anything, do the amendment, and then resubmit it, fine. But whatever happens in between that, I'll just cross-reference that with some of the guys deciding and let you know. Perfect. So in a nutshell, then, that is payroll. Now, looking at the time, oh, spot on. I'm too good at my job, I think. Not going to go into any more of your guys' time, but as I mentioned earlier, there is a whole sort of, so I hope you can sort of see that there's a big practice management focus within Nomisma. So you can essentially manage the whole practice in one place with deadlines, managing clients, that kind of thing, already sort of intertwined within that per client billing. Now, the CRM is a separate thing that I can touch upon with anyone individually later on, but just for sort of to make you guys aware of what our CRM does, for all those that aren't aware, is essentially it is a place where you can manage all of your new leads to clients. So what you can go ahead and do there is make use of the pricing matrix that we use. So everything on value-based pricing. You can begin creating those quotes and proposals, sending out those letters of engagement for AML checking, professional clearance, that kind of thing. You can also do all of your company secretarial on there. But yes, anyone feel free to let me know about CRM and I can touch upon it later. But for now, if there's any questions over what I've explained today, then please feel free to jump in the question box. We've also, it might be worth mentioning here, is that we have a Nomisma YouTube channel. So there's a whole sort of bunch of video tutorials. There's loads of stuff on there as well that I haven't even gone into today, because this is sort of just a brief overview of sort of what we do, what you can do. But I mean, all the sort of nitty gritty, dare I say, accountancy bits, you will be able to access here. So even today, we've changed the way you can produce VAT returns now. Something about it will do the reversal for you. So you can do all of that. I'll send this, if anyone's interested, I'll just send a follow-up email to everyone with this recording and our YouTube channel. And also, as ever, we have an amazing support team. So I'll put the support details, which we are available on email or via phone. And also any training, we can do individual training sessions and any data migration that you may need from elsewhere. But I'd like to thank everyone for joining today. It was a great turnout. I hope you can see the power of Nomisma. And as I say, you'll all have access to my email after this, and I will be sure to respond. I can see some more Q&As coming in. Now, I'm really sorry, guys, but for some reason, I can't see these. So if you can put it in the chat box, that would be brilliant. And I can answer accordingly. But one more thing is I haven't gone through pricing. So does anyone like to see the pricing? I mean, I can go through it. Yes, okay, pricing. Okay, so pricing, sorry, I forgot the webinar, I stopped talking. So pricing is done on a modular and a per client basis. So essentially, so at Nomisma, we don't have any contracts. There's no minimum terms. There's no minimum requirements. There's no internal or upgrade fees. This pricing is black and white what it is. It's a pay-as-you-go system. By pay-as-you-go, I don't mean you let us know every time you onboard a new client. What we do is we just pick up the activity as you go on a 30-day rolling basis, and that's how it works. Now, this is the pricing. So at the moment, now this is so someone's just asked about the free SA and SA free. So at the moment, we are giving away the final accounts and self-assessment module free of charge. So what this basically means is any of those clients that you do just final accounts or self-assessment for, those individual one-off clients, you can do your filings in the Nomisma absolutely for free. Now, after the 30th of June, so this only lasts until the 30th of June, I mean, that's when it expires, the actual deal. But after the 30th of June, final accounts and self-assessment is just billed on a submission basis. So for those one-off clients that you don't do bookkeeping for or anything else for, what you would do is you would just, after the 30th of June, is you would pay £5 plus VAT per submission. So for those self-assessments, it's just a £5 for the submission for the year, let's say. But you still have access to all of your self-assessment clients within the module. You still have access to the module for the whole year. Those ones are just a pay at the point of submission type thing. Now, bookkeeping and VAT. So any of those would submit to HMRC and companies house be 2 times submission costs? No. So when we at Nomisma we talk about it from like a one set of final accounts. So one set of final accounts, let's say your statutory company's house accounts and your CT600, that is a £5, and then a self-assessment is a £5. So when we talk about final accounts, it's one set. So you'll see that with bookkeeping and VAT module, so if you did the bookkeeping and VAT for a client each month, then they are billed at £5 per client per month, but that already gives you access to one set of final accounts and 2 self-assessment submissions free. So that's already intertwined within that pricing. And then this final accounts and self-assessment module is just for those one-off clients that you do, let's say. Now, payroll is £3 plus VAT per client. And now the only variable cost in the whole of Nomisma is this within the payroll. So for any company with employees above 10, it's then an extra charge of 50p per employee per month. But other than that, everything else is sort of just built into that pricing. So bank feeds, the apps, all of this stuff. But I'll attach a link to this as well for anyone that wants to see. Now, this is perfect. That's what we like. I'm going to share that comment. I got nice and simple. Good. Yes, we are trying to sort of address the bottleneck of having to pay, of not having to pay for what you don't use. So it's just a simple pay-as-you-go system. Pay for what you need, pay for what you use, and it's happy days all round. But the only, so this now then, so that's the per client and a per modular basis. So you just pay for what you use on here. And then this one, so obviously I haven't touched upon CRM today, but CRM is billed by a user fee. So if you wanted access to the CRM as well at a later date when we sort of speak and I cover that, then the CRM is billed on a user fee. So one user, it would be £29 plus VAT per month to have access to the whole of the CRM. And then company secretarial is billed at 30p per business per month variably as well. But yes, that, oh, and sorry, the £2 AML check. So in company, in CRM, you can do those AML checks as well at £2 a pop. And we use CreditSafe as our third party for that. And also with the letters of engagement, so you can do letters of engagement. When you do your letters of engagement, your e-signatures are incorporated into the user fee, and we use SignEasy for those e-signatures. Yeah. You love with these technical questions. Do you have an API programming interface for AML checks? I'm not too sure about that one, but let me ask the tech guys. I'm sure they can get me an answer, and I'll be sure to let you know with a long old email coming your way, I think, specifically. But yes. Again, I'd just like to say thank you so much to everyone joining. And if there are any questions at all, I will hang around for a while. And yes, I'll send you all an email. But thank you very much. Takes bow. No worries. Thank you, guys.